Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Wilson here, and today I'll be bringing you my profits from the first 5.5 months with the GE. My starting amount when GE came out was roughly 1 bill, and at the end of the video, I'll show you just how much I have. Right here, you can see I logged nearly 7 bill in profits. I made a lot more than this, especially in the first couple months, but I wasn't taking screenshots of all my trades. And in the first couple months, I flipped quite a lot of Ellie's, but I don't have many of those saved. I'll be using my merch log to go over the trades I did. You can see here, you can see the evidence of the trades that I did, the name of the items, quantity traded, the average buys, sells, profit, and the percentage. With that said, let's get started. This is my one trade that took place before GE. I bought a wand off a staker named Slanker for 200 mil, which I was surprised I was able to buy, and Elite Third Age was pretty rare at this time. I think there was maybe 3 wands, 1 longsword maybe, and 2 bows. And the 2 bows was already hoarded by one staker. And there was a trading post at around this time. I was able to sell it 10 days later for 450 mil, convincing this merchant I buy at GE that Elite Third Age would be extremely difficult to buy. Luckily, he did buy it because after G came out, I needed every GP I could, and Third Age wands never did rise back to this price. Here's one of my first Third Age long flips. I didn't start flipping Third Age longs until about a week into after G came out. In the first week, I was flipping God Wars dungeon items. I tried blowpipes. Blowpipes around that time, they were going for around 20 mil, so they were actually decent. Nowadays, they're like 3.5 mil. But anyways, I also tried flipping Ellie's, which in the first week, it wasn't all that great. I tried flipping Arcanes, which proved to be pretty decent. I flipped them from 60 to 75 mil, and I made quite a lot of money off that. But after I sold off all my Arcanes, I wanted to see if I could make any money on Elite Third Age, and there wasn't all that many in the game. To my knowledge, Third Age Long went for around 1.5 bill before G came out, and so I want to see if I could buy for around mid price. And surprisingly, I was able to pick a longsword for 500 mil. You can see I put an offer in for 540 mil and plus 1 GP and an instant bot. 540 mil was the mid price. I sold it a bit later for nearly 800 mil. I also bought and sold a Third Age long for 540 and 700 mil at around the same time, but I don't have pictures of those trades. I also bought one for I forget how much, but I sold it to a friend and he later sold it back to me for the same price. Here are some casual Ellie flips I did in the first couple months of the G being out. I only have a few trades, but I was flipping tons of Ellies every single day. Typical margins on Ellies when they're stable, you could get anywhere from 3 to 9 mil flips, and they were pretty quickly too, because there weren't all that many people with that kind of money to flip it, so I didn't have too much competition. And when the prices did get volatile, you can see the margins can increase easily to 10 to 20 mil flips. From just the 7 here, I made 90 mil profit, which is about 13 mil profit each. This was the day that Ellie's dropped nearly 200 mil on April 26, 2015. So in under 3 months, about I guess 2.5 weeks after G came out, Ellie's rose 50% in price. Ellie's started out at around 585 mil on the first day of G, and they peaked at 930 mil. I sold quite a number at the peak. I flipped quite a number of shields at 900, 930 at around those prices. I even had one shield, one or maybe 1 or 2 shields when they started to reverse, and I tried to flip them on the way down, but I did not anticipate them dropping 200 mil in a span of 2-3 hours, so I got burnt a little there. But I did make quite a bit of profit. I picked up quite a number of shields at around 730, 740 mil, and I sold many of them overnight for 849 mil undercut. Here, I believe I bought the cheapest 30 long that ever got traded after G came out. I heard Jess bought one for around this price as well, but this was probably before I started flipping Third Age longs. You can see right here, I bought it off Marquee on an old George 48. For those of you who watch Criminal Minds, that's the Boston Reaper. But anyways, I started a bit later to Wizard of Oz right here, who I believe still owns the sword from the last time I saw him at Mother Lode Mine. He was bank standing with a third H long. I didn't want to keep 30H longs for too long. I only had around 1.2 bill or so, so I would only be able to buy up to two swords, then I wouldn't have any more money. Early on, I also bought a 30H long and sold it to my friend for around 540 mil, which helped me be able to control the supply of 30H longs in the game. Here's my single item biggest flip. I bought a 30H long for 700 mil, and I went on to sell it for 999 mil for nearly 300 mil profit. A little backstory in this trade. Elite Third Age wasn't doing all that hot for quite a while. Around the time that Skip the Gym was pretty big at the duel arena, having reached 20 bill at its height, a lot of attention was put on Ellie's. Ellie's pretty much rising consistently for 2-3 months. Around the time that Ellie's were doing very well, Elite Third Age suffered. Although these trades here, this 300, 800 mil sell and 700 sell before this one, this 610 sell, I think these were all done before Ellie started rising a ton. But after Ellie started rising a ton, I sold off my longswords and tried to ride the Ellie rise, which I did quite well on. But after Ellie's peaked at 930 mil and started crashing again, I tried my hands in trying to flip Elite Third Age again. Given how many Ellies there are in the game and how they were able to rise to 930 mil, I saw a lot of potential profit in Elite Third Age, like especially longswords. They were trading for around 500, 550 mil for quite a while. I bought one for 550 mil and I sold it for 650 mil. And then a week of not being able to buy back, I really wanted my longsword back, so I instant bought for 700 mil. And I guess it was the right move because I was able to sell it a little bit later for 999 mil undercut. Third Age Cloak had a pretty interesting history. It was the last Elite Third Age to come into the game, and the first one got bought by a merchant who I suppose later sold it to YB, a bug user who made quite a lot of money off Corp. But then he got banned with the cloak, so we went back to having 0 cloaks for a period. Then in the month of May, we had Big Mo, which brought in 7 Elite Third Age items into the game, 4 of them being cloaks. I think the first cloak that entered the game sold for 1150 mil, and then the very next day, another cloak entered the game. That one sold for, I believe, 850 mil. And then the next day after that, another cloak entered the game, and I bought that one for 513 mil. I was competing with my friend Mini Finbar to buy this cloak, and after some time outbidding each other, I offered him a cut of my profits, which ended up working best for both of us. I went on to sell that cloak instantly, and this was the first cloak that went into G. I instant sold it for 750 mil, and the person who bought this cloak, I believe he went on to sell it for around 250 mil profit, so everyone was a winner. I loved how Third Age longswords looked, and I believe it should be the most expensive item. Seeing here, I sold one for 999 mil, or at the very least, I think it should give Ellie's a run for its money. So I bought up any and all longswords that came into the price range of 700 to 800 mil. I bought here for 811. I bought another one for 772, and here I buy one for 715, and I sold them all for close to 900 mil each. Here's a pretty big fail of mine, Third Age Cloak. Although I made nearly 100 mil profit, this was only because I had a really lucky snipe. You can see some of the recent trades I did right here. I bought a cloak for 515 mil. This is the only reason why I profited over all the cloaks. In the chat, you can see I also sold a cloak and bought a longsword, so I was kind of tight on money, so I didn't want to hold all the cloaks, and I also didn't like how Third Age cloaks look, so I didn't think it should cost more than a longsword or come close to it. You can see I bought another one for 771, bought one for 805, and I sold it for 745, 699 undercut. 740. So I didn't do all that well with the cloaks, just got really lucky with this snipe. And here are some more phenomenal 30H longsword flips. 30H longs were selling pretty well at 900 mil. They actually sold pretty fast too. So I believe I could try selling them for even higher price. I started buying them for even higher. I bought this one for 818, bought this one for 831, bought this one for 855, and another one for 822. How many are there here? And right here you can see I sold one for 980, sold two of them for 990, and is there a third one? But anyways, 430H longsword flips for over 500 mil profit. This is possibly my first impulsive buy in old school. I saw that arcane spirit shields were kind of low, so I just went ahead and instant bought a ton of arcanes. You can see right here I bought 10 of them. I also got change back, 763.5. So I got quite a bit of change back here, bought a ton of arcanes down here, and I went on to sell them overnight for 31.4 mil profit. Here's some 30H longsword flips, although not as much profit as last time since I sold two longswords for a loss. Although I was very confident I would be able to sell longswords in the 900 to 1000 range. Here I bought a longsword for 801 mil, and right here there are a ton of 30H longsword trades. Some of these was from earlier, 990, 990, 980. Bought one for 881, sold it for 949. And here's some bows that I bought, and some more longsword trades. Continuing, I bought this one for 964. Actually, these bucks were getting pretty high because I did not think I would be able to sell them for over 1 bill. At least I wouldn't want to take the risk. And here I sold it for 949, sold another one for 944. Although I did sell this one for 999 mil undercut. These arcane spirit shields was part of my platinum token merch. Elysian Arcanes crashed a lot in anticipation of platinum tokens, and people thinking that stakers would no longer hold on to spirit shields to store wealth is true, but the majority of Arcane's Ellie's and other high value items are actually in the hands of players and PVMers. You can see I bought quite a. Where do they start? You can see some of them I bought around 75 mil. This was around the low point. I think the lowest I got was around 73 mil, and I sold them for a fair number, around 83 to 85 mil. I did accidentally instant sell my last couple Arcane Spirit Shields, so that ended my merch a little early, but nearly 125 mil profit, not bad. Up to this point, the majority of my profits has been from Third Age, but this is by far my best non-Third Age merch. My Platinum token merch with hoarding Arcanes and Ellie's. Although I missed the initial announcement, which caused Ellie's to drop down to 650 mil, and then they had a strong rebound. I wasn't online at the time, so I missed out on an easy 1 bill profit. And Ellie's also did not drop as much as I hoped for. They dropped down to 700 mil, and I think maybe I'm not sure if they went over 700 mil a second time, but after Platinum tokens came into the game, Ellie started to rise a little. I tried to pick them up for 720, 730. I had no luck, so I just started buying them back up for around 750. You can see right here, bought. I bought tons of Ellie's at around this time, and then I spent the next 9 days flipping them to try to prop up the price. And luckily for me, around this time, near the time that I sold off my Ellie's, there was talks of gold dupes. There was the thing with the rat pits, and I'm not sure what else, but the talks of gold dupes and the dropping price of gold helps me a lot to unload my merch. You can see over here, I sold tons of my Ellie's at the peak price. I sold tons of them at 835, 838. I don't think they went over 840, so I pretty much sold them at their peak price. Down here, 30H bows, 30H longsword. These trades, they were done at around the time that I was also doing my platinum token merch. I wasn't able to invest as much as I wanted into my platinum token merch because you can't exactly dump these items the late third age. Although I did get some nice flips on them, about 20 mil plus flips on Dirt Age bows. You can see right here, I picked up a longsword for 721 mil, and you can see down here, I also sold two bows. So I sold my longsword and my two bows at roughly the same time. And whenever I have some cash lying around, I'll try to flip more items. Although these Dirt Age kites aren't that impressive, and these plates weren't that impressive as well. Here's a pretty big flip on Ellie, 23, nearly 24 mil profit. I bought, actually, is this correct? Actually, yeah, this is correct. I sniped an Ellie sigil for 780 mil. I sniped quite a lot of sigils in the first couple months of the G being out, although I didn't take many pictures, so that's unfortunate. But I made a lot of money sniping sigils, making anywhere from 10 to 50 mil during the first couple months. I had very few competition on Ellie's and even fewer competition on the sigils. Although nowadays the profits on sniping Ellie's sigil is not what it used to be. Here are some rather underwhelming flips. I started to flip some rope tops. I had one bad experience quite a long time ago when rope tops rose from around 120 to 136. Then I tried to flip a rope top and they crashed on me. And I didn't touch rope tops for a very long time after that. I've only started trying to flip rope tops recently, a lot more, as well as other items. But you can see here, not very impressive profits. Only a bit over 1 mil profit each. That's what, about 1.2 mil profit each or so. And these 30H longswords, compared to other ones I've done in the past, these are pretty mediocre. About 13, 14 mil profit each bow, around 18 mil profit per 18 mil profit per cloak. Not, I flipped them for pretty small margins. Same with the longswords, not that impressive, but I'll show you right after why I was not able to flip these for all that much. The reason why I was not able to make much profit on bows, cloaks, longswords, and rub tops was because I was in the process of trying to hoard plate bodies and plate legs, which I did quite successfully. Over the period of about 2 weeks, I made nearly 1.3 bill profit just off these two items. I saw a lot of potential in plate bodies and plate legs, considering just how cheap they were relative to their prices in RS3. In RS3, rope tops only went for around 120 mil, while the plate body went for 350, the legs going for 400, 500, and plate bodies and plate legs were actually hoarded quite well in RS3, and I didn't see why they couldn't be the same case in old school, especially considering we have 30H longswords and cloaks which match the melee set. In those 2 weeks, I flipped 136 plate bodies. I'm not sure if I took the best course of action, probably not, but I instant bought them from 91 mil all the way up to 100 mil. And then shortly after, I sold one for 120 mil. I thought, how high would I be able to get plate bodies to rise? Initially, they rose quite fast, and then it became more difficult for me to keep it at its price. I wasn't sure if I would be able to maintain its price, but I did sell a third age plate body for 125 mil right here, and I sold the rest of mine for around 119 mil. You can see some here, 120 mil undercuts, 120 mil undercuts. That was my target price, and I did reach my target price. And then I started to sell some for a little bit cheaper since I wanted to update my merch log. You can see right here, I sold some for 114 mil, not so impressive. Here you can see I flipped 129 plate legs. I tried to do the same thing as what I did with the plate bodies, instant buying all the ones in the GE, but there weren't as many plate legs in the GE, so I had to stick to non-instant buying a ton of them. You can see I bought a ton of them for 110, 101, 202, and I sold one pretty fast for 120. I even sold a couple of these for 145 mil right down here, 145 mil undercut times 3. I set my target price at 140 mil, which I did reach. I sold a fair number of them. A lot of these were around, well, these were actually buys. I did sell quite a number of these right here. You can see 140s. And this was an accident. I accidentally instant sold 12 plate legs. Luckily, I sold eight of them to myself, so that kind of minimized my losses. And some of these down here, I sold some for 140 mil undercut. But at the end, I sold some of these for kind of cheap because, again, I wanted to update my merch log. And the final big play of the video, I tried to hoard 30s longswords again, although this time there was a lot more 30s longswords circulating in the GE. This was around the time that I was finishing up on this merch, so when I was starting to sell off my 30s plate bodies and 30s plate legs, I was also picking up longswords. You can see right here, I picked up 4 30s longswords for around 850. One of these was from bot who didn't know he sold it to me. I also picked up quite a number for 900 each, and I sold the majority of mine for close to 1 bill. You can see right here, 999, 999, 999, 990, tons and tons of them in the higher end of 1 bill. Although this was the only longsword that I sold for kind of a cheap price, but at this point, this was my last longsword, so there was quite a lot of them circulating in the GE. Also, during the time that I was hoarding 30H longswords, I was also had money flipping 30H cloaks, Ellie's, plate bodies, plate legs, kite shields, and rope tops, and I actually got decent margins on some of this. Although the rope tops 1.3 mil flips, it's decent. Kites, I was able to pull what looks like 1.1 mil flips on the plate bodies and plate legs, 2 mil flips on these. Although I did miss out on a fair bit because plate bodies ended up, well, not plate bodies, the plate legs ended up rising up to almost 150 mil, but I still made a fair bit of profit. Ellie's, this did surprisingly well. At least in the last week, I flipped Ellie's for anywhere from 2 to 5 mil profits, and quite a lot of them in a short period of time. I didn't do so well with cloaks. I got undercut so many times, but I still made a fair bit of money. Here's an update on my bank. I don't have too much in items. Since anything I'm not using, I'll sell it. I don't have much here. I don't have much runes. You can see, unless I need it, I will sell it off. Although I did keep placeholders on the rings. This is probably maybe 20 mil here, and I'm still working on max. Although since I started streaming on Twitch, I haven't made as much progress. I am 30 levels away from max, 150k till 92 RC, so hopefully I'll get that soon. But here's a breakdown on the value of the items in my inventory. The platinum tokens, that's close to 4.5 billion cash. Arcanes, they're going for around 80. Ellie's 795. Cannonball's 200. Cloak, to be fair, I'll value at 900 since I haven't sold it yet, but I'm sure I could get it for more. Wand, 270, same thing as Cloak. Plate bodies, 115. Rope tops, 138. Or, yeah, 139 or 138. Plate legs, 139. And the talismans, about 100 mil. Although I'm never going to sell these, but it's still a fair bit of money, so my net worth right now in just the inventory is this amount, including other stuff, maybe 12.3 bill. For those of you who want to learn how to merch, I wrote a guide on the Let's Flip forums quite a while ago. I go over the basics on how to find prices, how to flip, how to invest. I give examples and also additional sources for you to look at. I also started streaming on Twitch recently. If you guys would like to learn how to merch, I cover all the items from the most highly traded items to Elite Third Age. I also talk about recent and future updates, anything that affects the economy. If any of this interests you, all the links can be found in the description. If you enjoyed the video, I'd much appreciate a like, and thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.